All righty. Are we live now? It says live.
We're live.
Okay.
Can you all hear us? Put a 1 in the chat if you can hear us.
Hello from Denver. Good to see everybody. Good to see Lee. Good to see Jeff over there in Gulfport, my man. All right. Good to see everybody. Lee, David. All right. Thank you for being here with us today on this live stream. We are going to answer any questions you have about our upcoming event next Wednesday, 1 week from today. Today's Thursday. That would be officially 7 days on April 10th. It's called the Good Showcase. And I'm here to clear up some details and tell you about this opportunity because it's huge. And I've been getting some great feedback from people about a couple things they're confused about, which is on me. My apologies. I've been so focused in the mix, holding this goods workshop, that I think I've fallen down a little bit on the messaging to help you understand how this showcase is different from the workshop that I have going on right now. So I want to clear that up, and then I want to tell you why I'm doing this, how it can benefit you, and how this is my first step towards fixing this industry. Okay. I have taken it upon myself to fix this industry because we have some problems. Mr. Rob Tillman, this is my man, Rob Tillman, my director of innovation with me here in Copy Chief, deep in the mix with me. He's my co-coach in all my programs. And Rob has a really interesting background from the corporate side, leading teams, recruiting, turning departments around for Fortune 500 companies. He's done this all over the world. And so Rob and I are kind of a power combo. I'm the bootstrapping freelancer who somehow figured out how to quit making dumb mistakes that were costing me money. And as you know, for the last 10 years, I've been helping other copywriters do that. I've made $27 million that I can count in contracts between copywriters and companies. So I know a thing or two about how these things go work and how each party thinks. And so I want to help you all understand the opportunity in front of you. Rob, anything you want to say before I dive in and start ranting here?
Well, before we start on the rant, the most important thing for everybody is to understand we are not going to waste your time. Anybody who's ever been on anything with us knows that we are not time wasters. We're going to give you the truth. We're not going to sugarcoat it. We're helpful, but more than that, we're going to make sure that you're in the best position to win.
Perfect. Yes.
Kev, they're just, as people are getting in here, we're going to give them one more minute to get in, and let's get really started on, because we want to make sure we're respectful of everybody's time and that we give them the information that they need, not just for the event, but what they need to know about a carry on from the message that we had all the way back in December. In December, we were telling everybody, we had our summit, and one of the main important things we were sharing with people is this whole entire thing is changing. And I don't really think that people are understanding how much it's changing, because I get on everybody's list like anybody else, and I keep seeing everybody saying the same old thing. They are acting like the world hasn't changed. So I know they're probably getting a lot of mixed messages. When they're hearing a message from us, then it's not the same message that they're hearing from the other people who are in this space. Everybody else is saying everything is just fine, and here's what you should do, and here's these prompts, and here's this thing, and here's this information. And what we really need to do for everybody is get them to first understand how fast these things are changing. I think after we let them know how fast these things are changing, we can go into exactly what you've been doing. What you've been doing to stay in front of how these things are changing. So it'll make more sense for what you're doing now. And I think that will really clear it up.
Yeah, that's a really good place to start. Because, this is what it feels like to me and what it looks like to me when I see what other people are promoting. It feels like they are squeezing the last bit of juice, from the lemon or something, right? Look, I know a lot of these people that you're being promoted to by. I'm not here to dog anybody. I'm not here to start a war. I'm just telling you what I see, how they know, because I've been in rooms with these people. They know what's really up, but they're already locked into a message that's been selling for them for years now. And they don't want to have to change because uh, the truth is less sexy than what's been working in the past. Okay. Sexy is work 1 hour a day on your laptop from a cabana with a umbrella drink. And, look, you can have any lifestyle you want, but you got to get there first. There is no shortcut in this business. There's smart cuts. There's not shortcuts. Okay. Because the only way an opportunity works is when there is a match between somebody's character and the opportunity in front of them. Notice I said character and not skill set. There's one thing we're going to clear up today, because you guys are doing, a lot of people are doing the same thing I did when I was in your shoes, when I was freelancing. I was in my head all the time, looking for all the reasons I didn't qualify for a great opportunity, instead of how I could just show up and dazzle some people and get paid really well. My friend John Carlton, at least 5 times over the years in our relationship, said a phrase to me that stopped me in my tracks and got me to get out of my head. And it's, if you have little ears around, it's not a bad word, but people think of it as a bad word. He would say to me, I would ramble, imposter syndrome, and I don't. And he would listen. There'd be a pause, and he would say, "Quit being a pussy." I mean, that's John speak, right? And I would be like, "You're right. I am being a pussy." And his point was, this is not surgery. We're not cutting people open here. You didn't join the Coast Guard. You're not jumping out of a helicopter into frigid waters to try to save a life. It's okay. You're allowed to go figure out what you know and what you don't know, and how to fill in the gaps of, and more times than not, you will end up working with a really great client for a different reason than they advertised. All right. So to start where we are, there have been two major changes that I can point out in this industry over the last, let's say, 2 years. 2020, two was like a guessing game of what's this AI going to do and everything. And that's why December of last year, Rob and I held an event called the Copywriting Crossroads Summit. And we said, listen, the game has changed. Here's there are going to be 2 kind of copywriters left in 2024 and going forward: the bots and the best. The bots and the best. That really resonated with people, either because they didn't want it to be true or they kind of knew it was true. Now, let me clarify a couple of things. What I mean by the best does not mean you have to already be at an elite level of copywriting. It means that you embrace what you do best and you lean into it, and then find great clients who need that thing. And you get yourself in, and then you grow all the other skills from there. But you have to show up like someone who has the pro code of somebody who aims to be the best. That's what clients look for. All right. The bots are going to take the low level jobs. Okay. Let's just call it junior copy. When I think of junior copy, everybody defines things differently in their companies, but basically junior level copy is something that anybody could write. And if anybody could write it, that means ChatGPT will soon be able to write it, right? Now, here's the thing. These companies do not want bots writing their copy. What goes out will be done by a thinking, feeling human. Let's call it a senior level copywriter. Some of them already don't care, and some of them are already having the bots fill those roles, and some of them can see that will happen someday. That is not what matters. What that first draft, how it gets there. So right now, before ChatGPT, you had to be just good enough to get something there in a form that was workable. And then from there, the company owner or a chief or a CMO takes that copy and makes it presentable, adds the elements that it's missing from junior level, brings it to ready for prime time. Everybody following me on that? Let me know in the comments that this is tracking and it all makes sense. Okay. So when I say bots and best, that's what that means. Okay. And so when people sell you prompts and tricks and hacks and things, especially when it comes to cold outreach, guys, so that's number one. Like AI has put a deadline on how long you can just be a good enough copywriter. You have to focus your energy and said, I'm going to be great at this. I'm going to be great at VSLs. I love writing in a visual format. I'm the master of the YouTube ad script. I'm a cold traffic converting MFer, like email is my thing, landing pages. Start with one specialty. All right. The other difference that I've seen, and again, I spend all my days right here in this room talking to copywriters and talking to companies. And I have seen a major shift in companies who hire direct response copywriters. And it's a good shift. And you know what it is? They have evolved to the idea of working with contract copywriters. You remember a few years ago when it seemed like the best jobs in copywriting, you had to move to that town? In-house meant actually being in the building. That is just no longer the case. Okay, we have the pandemic to thank for that, because what did it do? It forced everybody to discover Zoom. Weren't you laughing when everybody's like, have you heard of the Zoom thing? It's so neat. You're like, I've been on Zoom for 3 years. That's half my day is being on Zoom. And they're like, oh my God, Zoom. So like the whole world is catching up to how we've been working anyway. I don't know one company anymore since, in 2024, like there was in 2020, who now demands that their writers be in the building, come in the building. They might fly you in a few times a year for big meetings and stuff, but they also understand that when it comes to creative work, they need to give you space to do the creative work. They don't make you attend company meetings anymore that don't affect you. All of the old hangups people used to have about having a main client, or the idea of, and I'm not telling you, I'm not trying to pitch you on the idea of going full-time or in-house. It isn't that. You know what in-house is? In-house is a great retainer client that's ongoing. That's all it is. Do we all not love retainer clients? Would you rather have a one-night stand where you never hear back after you turn in your copy and never get performance data, right? And then you have to go hustle another client who looks like that, and it's just this endless cycle of you being on first dates and trying to deliver and not hearing back from people, right? That's the beginning levels of freelance. It's very frustrating. A retainer client, everybody loves for two reasons. We know where our money's coming from. We get better every month we work with that client because the work gets easier. We understand their needs. We get feedback. We hopefully getting performance data on our work. And so everything just keeps getting better. That's why retainers often go for years and years. So the idea of in-house in 2024 is just a really good retainer. Okay. You don't have to be a W-2. You don't have to, a lot of them offer benefits, but you don't have to be on their insurance, and it amazes me when I use the word in-house or something. People are like, oh, that's evil. Like I got into copywriting for the freedom. Well, I don't think freedom is spending 50 to 60% of your time and mental energy hustling for a client so you can make the bills next month. That isn't freedom. Freedom is deciding that you're going to do something different and unique than the rest of the world to earn money, and making it work in a way that you actually get paid to do that thing. To me, that's what freedom looks like.
Kev, that word, man, they look at job. You know what? I want everybody to just understand something really important while my man takes a drink. When he's talking about the job, You can substitute all of these other words because they all are the same thing. Everybody, take a moment, take a breath, and understand this: job, client, project, gig. They are all the same thing. The whole objective of everything that you do ends up at the same place. The only difference is how long does that thing last? If it's a gig, it's a one-shot thing. If it is a project, it may be a few months long. If it is a client, that is the exact same thing as a job. That's the thing that you put on retainer. How many people put in the chat? Very simple question. Would you prefer to every month look for a project or job, or would you rather look for a client slash this long-term thing? It's a very simple question, right? Nobody wants to keep chasing those. Of course, we want to get us some of those because they let our creative juices out and they allow you to do some other things. But what everybody dreams about the retainer client. And a retainer client is exactly the same thing as what we're sharing with everybody, what we've been sharing with them in the goods. Kev, can I tell them like the first day of what we talked about just so they can get context of that?
Yes, sir.
Simple context. When we started up the goods workshop, then we had similar questions that came from people. And they asked, wait a second, but what if I don't want to go in-house? Wait a second, what if I already have a in-house position? Why should I be here? And it was a very simple answer. The things that we were sharing, the things that we've been sharing, and all of these insights are what everyone needs, no matter what path you're on. Because what is a freelancer doing? The thing you were talking about, Kev, you talked about they always looking for that next opportunity.
Yeah.
The exact same things. Do you know that what we share with the people in the goods workshop was exactly the same way that somebody would approach if they're looking for a project or they're looking for a gig? Because you have to understand how that other person is thinking. And you have to understand what the other top copywriters who you're competing with in those, how they're approaching those things. And one of the things we share with them is if you understand this, you can put it in any one of those situations.
Yeah.
If you understand this way of thinking, if you understand that there's one super important thing that is your superpower and in your advantage over everyone else. Everybody else that's applying for these jobs, everyone else who's applying towards these clients, everybody else who's trying to do this thing, they're going to do it wrong. That was like, I think that was one of the most relieving things that people in the workshop got. They got to understand and they got to see examples. They got to hear it from the mouths of hiring partners, and they got to see it in their peers that were inside the group as well, that you don't have to be perfect.
Yeah.
You don't have to be the best. You become the best when you show up in exactly a specific way.
Right.
And a very simple question, Kev. Think back to when you were starting off in copywriting. Think way, way in the way back machine. You have to go back almost 20 years. This man has been in the game almost 20 years doing this thing. And if you go all the way back to those 20 years, one of the things you remember is until you got in the room and saw where you stacked up, you really didn't have a clue, right? In your
Absolutely.
head, you were talking about their mindset.
Yeah.
You were talking about, man, well, there's so many people so much better than me, and everybody else has done this, and people have been doing this thing for 20 years, and I'm just getting in the game. People have written for this person. You looked at all those other people, and the single biggest fear you probably had was, where do I stack up? How
Right.
do I know where I am against these top people? And what you had to do is you had to get in the room so that you could see and understand that you weren't that far away. How did it feel the first time when you found out, man, I thought I had 3 more years to
Yeah.
go, but I can do this now? Like, how
Yeah.
did that feel?
It felt amazing. It was startling, really, because I thought, wow, I completely over prepared for this opportunity. And I'm always glad if I over prepare, better be over prepared. But I remember several times being in rooms like that and going, wow, what I had in my head is not reality at all. Other people are kind of being lazy. And one thing Rob just pointed out that was very relieving and should be relieving for you all that are here is as Rob says, other people, winners win because they're the most prepared. People with more experience and credentials with you will blow the opportunity because they're resting on their laurels and they think they just have to spout out some numbers and some things of people they work with. Yeah, that gets people interested, but it doesn't make them hire you. They don't want to think that you're going to bring old habits or assumptions into their marketing. They would rather meet somebody who's fresh brained and eager to learn and eager to prove themselves and help nurture their talent up to where they need it.
My whole
9 out of 10
career.
times.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Kev. Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
But no, look, my whole entire career, everybody, if you want to laugh, just sit back, relax. There's no note taking to do in this part. There's not any thinking. All I want you to do is just relax and listen to this insanely funny, ridiculous story. The guy in front of you is 100% that boss. Everybody knows that boss. That boss is the one that you have more experience than, you have more education than, you kill the game in your specific skill set, but he's still your boss and you have to train him. Didn't you just hate that? Everybody hates that. They're like, man, why is he the boss? I was the youngest, the boss. I was the least, the web behind the ears, least experienced, the boss. Over and over and over again. People had way better engineering chops. People had way better operational chops. People had way better marketing. People had way better everything than me. But what they didn't have is they did not have something that I used throughout my whole career, what I've trained hundreds of people in how to do in their career at the highest levels. It's how to confidently show up and what people are really looking for when they're hiring. Whenever I'm helping anybody with a proposal, that's literally just the same thing as getting hired because it's the same logic. There's another human on the other side, and that human has specific needs about what they're looking for. And I guarantee what you're thinking that they need is not what they need. You're comparing yourself to these phantoms and ghosts.
Yeah.
There was one thing that came up not even coming from us. And somebody else just reconfirmed this. They were saying, hey, it's crazy. Where I thought I was, and I didn't think I had a chance to get these kind of jobs, to get these kind of gigs. And they kept finding out when they got them, there was one reason beyond any other reason that they got them. They knew how to follow the right instructions. It's not about just having the instructions. Literally, a lot of people have the instructions and they breeze through them and they try to do it. But what they didn't have was the right instructions. And one of the reasons why most people don't follow those instructions, Kev, you know why they don't follow them? Because they don't trust them. So you'll tell somebody what to do and you give them the exact instructions. But in their head, that movie that's playing, they think, oh, it's not going to happen that way. One of the biggest things that was helpful for me, more than me interviewing thousands of people, more than me being interviewed and getting a job offer for every single job I've ever applied to in my life, more than any of those things is when I got to be the third person, Kev.
Yeah.
When I got to be the third person and I got to watch somebody interviewing somebody else, it took all of that pressure off of me. And I got to actually see what was happening. Because before that, I knew that what I was doing worked, but I had no idea what part of it was working.
Right.
What I got to see was how those interactions actually were happening. The person who was being interviewed, they are frightened. And you can see things happen. You can see things they would never get to see. Yeah. The person who's doing the interviewing, they do things that they don't know that they're doing. They actually, a lot of time, give tells and gives. You can tell when they want somebody to get hired because they'll start giving hints and trying to help the person along, but the person won't see it. Literally, that person does not see that somebody's trying to help them because they're stuck to a script.
Yeah.
Being able to be that third person in the room and watch that happen, you know what I got to see? Things I can teach people. I got to see, you're going to see them do this, and this means that. I got to teach them, hey, oh my goodness, this is the thing. If you just do this, this knocks it out the ballpark. Can I get them just like 2 minutes about something that happened yesterday that I
Yeah, we'll
think
do
that would
that, and then I
really
want to
like,
bring it. And then I want to bring them into what we've been doing in the workshop, and so they can understand.
well, this is a good segue right into that. That literally yesterday, while we had Patrick Bove on with us, he told us something that I think every single person on here could absolutely leave with. If they left with nothing else, then we want to make sure we always put something in their hands they can actionably use.
Yeah.
He shared and he went in detail about how if you do one thing right, all the other things that you do wrong, he's willing to overlook. He
Yes.
literally talked about somebody taking an idea that he did not love, and it didn't matter. He talked about how an email was written not in the way he would do it, but it didn't matter on that spec project because he shared if they just get this thing right, they get mulligans over and over again on all the rest of the things in this whole entire process. Like I saw people's heads exploding. I saw how epiphanal it was for everybody that when they got that right, that
Yeah.
was the game changer.
Yeah. All right. Let me pan out and explain, because so many people here probably don't even know who Patrick Bove is. So let me do a better job of explaining to everybody exactly what this is all about and what we've been doing. So again, like I said, my mission is to close this gap in the industry, because every day great clients come to me and say, where are all the good copywriters? Because when I advertise, I'm just hearing from all these, they sound like telemarketers. They're making these big promises, and but they're not talking like people. And I go, yeah, they've been taught to do that, and it's not good. They probably haven't been taught to write good copy yet. They have their pitch down. So that's in. And then good copywriters are coming to me and saying, why can't I get through to the clients? They're not. I have no way to reach them. And I said, that's because they've shut off all communication because they're only hearing from the spammers, basically, right? So I say, wow, we got a real crisis here. And I make these connections all day, right? I get to introduce people, watch fireworks go off, and they go on to do amazing things together, right? Make a bunch of money together, do great work that's gratifying. Everybody grows. But I can only do so much of that. I can only make so many introductions a day and a week through my inbox. And so I said, I need to find out who's got the goods. And again, I'm not talking about your copy chops. We have people in this goods workshop. So 25 people that I hand selected to come in, as little as 1 year experience writing copy, as much as 20 plus years writing copy. And yesterday, every one of them sat spellbound when Patrick Bove, who is one of the most highest regarded, most successful copy chiefs in our industry, he works with MarketWise. He led legacy research. He's in the most competitive field there is, which is financial copy. And by the way, this is not just for financial copy. Most of the people coming to us, I'll tell you, are in health and wellness, beauty, coaching, things like that. Financial is its own little word. That's why we have a special place in Copy Chief just for financial copywriting. And they sat spellbound while Patrick reviewed their submissions. We had them write a cover letter and one simple email promoting a Rich Sheffrin product, and we're putting everybody through this process because Rich is coming to me asking for recommendations, right? So I said, perfect. Let's have everybody just use your product as the test. And then so what we're doing in the goods workshop is we are bringing people, copywriters, through the process of what you will need to do to show up and show your goods to be a top choice for people with the best jobs and the most money to spend in copywriting. That's what this whole thing's all about. Some of them I'll connect personally because I'll see the fits because they're They're in my head and they're on my page. Other people will find opportunities outside of me, but I guarantee you, after what they've learned in the goods, they will show up as a top choice for those opportunities. No way they'll be overlooked. Okay. And two things, like I said, the cover letter and the sample. And probably the biggest takeaway from yesterday, that just last night we did this call with Patrick and everybody in the goods, was how much, as Rob was pointing out, the cover letter buys you space to not kill it with the actual writing submission, right? There was a couple people, he was like, I didn't love the email, but I loved the cover letter. You showed me so much. And by the way, cover letter, we just mean your email introducing yourself. Like, here are my samples. What do you say in that? Hey, I heard about this job from Kevin, heard about this. And here's what you should know about me. That moment, that opportunity, we're copywriters. We get to kill this. We get to kill this. This is what we do. So what did he see in those cover letters that even if he wasn't that impressed with the actual copy submission, made him say, oh, we can fix that. I like this person. I like how they think. I like how they approach me. I like how they communicate. I want to talk to this person. So is that surprising to anybody? Tell us in the chat if that surprises you, because it is a human business. I tell people all the time, copywriting is a relationship business. I've never had a hiring partner come to me and say, well, we got it down to two people. One of them has a ton of experience, but we don't really resonate with them. The other one has less experience, but we think they're great. But we're going to go with the person with more experience who we don't really like. I've never once in my life heard those words. It's like we're rolling the dice with this person who has less experience because we just dig them. We like the cut of their jib, as we used to say, right? So
you know what Patrick even did, Kev? I got reached out to by somebody from yesterday. One of the people that Patrick specifically called out and was going through theirs and spent a good amount of time with their actual submission. He just connected with them on LinkedIn. He found them. He did the work to go search and find that person, and he connected with them. They said, Rob, oh my goodness, Patrick found and connected with me, and I never thought that was about to happen. It was because they showed up with this thing that we're talking about, that he loved their cover letter so much that he said, this person has to be in my orbit. And he pinged and he found that person and brought them into his network.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what was so startling when I was talking to Patrick. He said, when somebody writes to me and says they want to work with me, one of two things happen. One is, most commonly, I put them sort of in the mental trash heap. I appreciate the effort, but I can tell they're being templated. They didn't put much time or care into how they're talking to me. Miss, can you get her out, please? And then the other one is, or he said, I'm racing to my phone to try to contact them. He wants to call them up and start talking immediately. Those are two extremes, everybody. And so if you take nothing else from us in today, be a copywriter, a very human, relationship-centered copywriter when you apply. Because again, it's always been important. It's never more important than today, because cold outreach is dead. You've got to be invited in the conversation in some way. Okay. Everybody's telling you these tricks and these, oh, ChatGPT can find you 500 companies a week to apply to. My goodness. Half of them aren't even looking for copywriters. And you're coming on too strong, and it's not your fault. I know you look, if the reason you're frustrated is because you are just dying to become a copywriter and have a reason to wake up and write copy every day for a client, with a partner who's going to appreciate the work and use your work and tell you how it did, that's who I'm talking to today. Okay. If you got into copywriting because some person who's probably in jail now told you that it's the easiest way to make money online, come on. We all know that that's a big lie. We are proud that this is not an easy thing to do. Copywriters shine up their copywriter badge every day and put it right on their lapel, because we should be proud of the fact that this is hard work. This is not easy. This is not for everybody. We have to have a certain kind of intelligence, a way to communicate. We have to have fortitude. We have to be research junkies. We're like detectives, sales detectives, right? And it's exciting. And if the only thing holding you back is finding clients who want to work with you so that all those things can flourish, then those are the kind of opportunities we're here to tell you about. And that's what we're doing on the Goods Showcase. We did it in the workshop first because we wanted to find out in real time what works, what doesn't, what's surprising people the most of the 25 we have going through. What assumptions did they bring in? We've had several people, Rob, who've been doing this 20 years or more come to us after like the second or third week of the Goods Workshop. We just finished week 5 and say, my goodness, I get it now. The reason I'm in this workshop is because I knew I was missing something. And I've been lazy. I've been one of those lazy people. I've been resting on my laurels. I think I can just spout off how long I've been doing this and who I've done it with, and that should get me the job. And it isn't anymore. And I don't know. I didn't know why. Now I get it.
And that's
So
really
this should be good news to you. You should feel relieved and elated if this is surprising to you. It isn't about your skill level. If you're dedicated and committed and you've been buying courses and hopefully doing some of them, you've got the goods. They're in there somewhere. You're just not, you're presenting the wrong things, or you're following bad instructions that other people have sold you. That will not work ever again. It's a new day. And it's an interesting, the irony is that since AI came into our lives, this has become a way more humanized business. And that is what the smart clients are looking for now. They know what ChatGPT copy looks like, and they know that that isn't going to fly on them or their audience. And so they're looking for you, human, who wakes up every day inspired to communicate well with their audience to get them to take action. That's it. It hasn't changed. It's just become confusing and cluttered with all this other stuff. Okay. So hopefully that gives you an idea of, we've had special guests in the workshops. Get this. I'm going to brag on myself a little bit. People call me the most connected person in copywriting. And I can't dispute that. I've been doing, like Rob said, 20 years. I have spent God knows how much money flying to places, being in rooms with people. I've been in so many masterminds. I've connected. I can't even count the amount of companies I've placed copyright. It's just it's what I love to do. I get it. I get the struggle. I was there. I was you. You wouldn't have believed what an insecure person, all in my head, I was when I came out of comedy. I spent 10 years chasing a dream, and it didn't work out because I didn't have any of these skills. I didn't embrace it as a business. So when I found copywriting, I said, man, this is a new day. I'm going to learn how to do this right. I'm going to be relentless, and I'm going to make connections. Because one thing I realized from all my friends who made it in comedy, it was a who. It was a somebody who helped them get into the right rooms to have the success. My best friend in the world, Billy Gardell, is one of the only actors who's had 2 different sitcoms as a leading man with 100 episodes each. Mike and Molly and Bob Hart's Abishola, which is in its last season right now. He was a fat kid with gnarly teeth when he came into comedy. There was no prototype for that guy to be a leading man on a sitcom. There was Ted Danson. he should have been the wacky neighbor, but he stepped up to the challenge. He learned how to show up and to kill auditions that he knew he wasn't right for, and make friends with the casting directors. You understand? It's a process, and it always comes down to connecting with people. So I hope that gives you some relief, because you've probably been falsely comparing yourself to what other copywriters are doing that somehow you're doing wrong. And it just comes down to being human and making connections. I know you're going to do the work. I know you're going to do the work to get good and get better. That's how I calculate the goods. Everybody I brought into the goods is there because they showed me in their application, I'm going to do this no matter what. If you can help me, great, but nothing will stop me. Okay, you're my person. Let's get in here.
You're talking about their head, Kev. And you, again, one of the things that every one of us, let's just be honest for a sec, okay? Everybody be honest with yourself. You don't have to be honest with us. I'm going to ask you to put something in the chat, but if you don't want to put it, it's perfectly okay, because it's not for us, it's for you. Be honest with yourself. Think about the worst thing that you ever imagined happening in any situation. And then I want you to actually think about the reality of what happened. Nothing was ever as bad when we actually encountered that situation. Part of what a lot of you all are going through is you really are afraid, and it's okay. One of the things that you need to get confidence is you have to see what you're afraid of. If I was going to give one quick summary and understanding about what next week's event is about, is helping you to overcome your fears. Right now, you think, oh my goodness, I don't have the chops. Oh my goodness, these people are better than me. Oh my goodness, nobody would look at me. Oh my goodness, nobody really would consider me. And here's the deal. Get your butt in the room so you can see for yourself you're not as far off as you believe you are. You have to see it. There's no faking it. There's no way for you to guess on how this thing is going to go in. One of the things I talked about to Kev earlier is I gave him, I said, hey, you know what? It's like a person saying, you know what? I'm going to do stand-up comedy, but they aren't willing to go to a comedy show and actually sit in that row and see what it's like to be in that audience and get to see the comedian and the audience engaging. They only watch it on TV and they're like, okay, that's enough. Or let's just say that you wanted to go speak. You say, you know what? It's my dream to go speak. And they won't ever go to a place where people are speaking. Or they say, you know what? I'm going to run a marathon. But they never actually went to a marathon. It's not the same. You have to be in the room. You have to understand what that thing really looks like. Because if you just show up cold the first time, Kev, what would it be like for somebody who just watched a couple comedians on an edited TV show, right? If they actually went and sat in the audience and actually saw what it's like.
So different. I mean, you know, what's interesting is when you see a comedian on, say, Jimmy Fallon, right? It's their debut performance. They do 5 minutes. They have worked with the producers on that show for 6 months to get that 5 minutes right. So when you go see them live, you'll see totally different versions of those jokes. You'll see that that's their cleanest, tightest 5 minutes, but there's maybe funnier, more interesting stuff around it. And that's a really good analogy, Rob, because what we think is not what actually is. It's the difference about seeing a comedian live as opposed to on TV. They're in the moment. They're not performing at you. They're talking to you, and it's invigorating. You're part of the experience. Everything comes down to human connection. That's why we will shower. It's one thing to not change the channel for 5 minutes. It's another thing to buy a ticket to something, get yourself showered, go on a date, have dinner, and show up at the club. Totally different scenario. You make the effort because you want the real experience. And that's the same thing clients want. So
it's just the same as us being live here, Kev. Think about this. You've stumbled over some words. I stumbled over some words. If this thing goes and got posted somewhere, guess what we're going to do? We're going to clean it up, aren't we? We are going to clean all of it up. We are not going to let that go out into the world like that. And here's the deal. You want to see the people that are just being who they are. One of the things that you're going to see more than anything is the people that are being highlighted, the companies that are being highlighted. You're going to see this one common thread. They are just who they are.
Yeah.
This is important for you all. Get in that room so you can see people just being humans, having real human conversations, just understanding how they really think and how they act, answering questions openly and honestly. And one of the things you'll find out as I keep on sharing is you're not as far away as you think. In
Yeah.
your brain, you think that that person is so far off. We have someone who's going to be highlighted in this thing that they literally they threw their head in, they threw their hat in the ring. You're going to see how all they had was desire, confidence, and went to the right people to get the right instruction. And their life is literally about to change at this moment. And the same
Well,
thing could happen for you, but it won't happen by you thinking about it. It won't happen about if you try to guess. It's only going to happen if you get there.
yeah, listen, yesterday, so Patrick reviewed lots of submissions, probably in total. I mean, 232 pages of submissions, because we not only have the 25 who are in the goods, but we have all the people Rob and I work with in our coaching group who are part of this as well, right? 232 pages of submissions. Patrick, hats off. I mean, talk about a true copywriter, a true copy chief. Went through every one of them 2 or 3 times, made notes. He picked a top 10. He said, these are the 10 people. He said, it was hard to stop at 10, but I had to stop at somewhere. And then he gives 6 honorable mentions. He said, all 16 of these people are people I'd be on the phone with right now if they had submitted this to me. One of them was 2 years ago doing what, Rob?
Banking.
Was a banker.
A banker.
2 years ago.
Banker.
And now he's hand selected a top 10 from Patrick Beauvais, who's got 20 years experience growing copywriters, growing teams, leading teams. Come on. So that's our point, is that when you get to be in the room, and listen, now let me explain what we're asking of you on the showcase. You have 2 options. By the way, it's $300. I put the link in there. $300. You go, why would I pay $300 to watch other people talk about? Because again, if you were gonna do a stand up, let's go back to stand up, and you said, okay, I'm gonna do it. This has been a dream of mine my whole life. I'm gonna go on stage. I'm gonna do 5 minutes. Would you not pay $300 to sit down and get coached on how to do that set? $300 to not go embarrass yourself, to potentially kill instead of die on that stage. We're bringing you into the room so you can see. Now, there's 2 ways you can show up to this. If you're like me, and John had to tell me you're in pussy mode, that's okay. Okay. And you're scared and you don't, it's like, I stay off camera, be a fly on the wall, but you'll be in the room. Okay. That's one option. 2 is get your best shirt on that you feel comfortable in, turn your camera on, get your light right, and show up and be attentive. And Rob and I may call on you. And these are very interactive events. By the way, this is not a webinar. This is not like we're doing right now. We're in a studio, a top of the line, state of the art studio right here in Tampa. And we're going to see you on screens in front of us. You'll see us. We'll be completely interactive. So if you want to show up and show out, do that. And Rob and I will be doing our best to ask you questions to get you involved. Okay. It's totally up to you. You can spy or you can engage. We have 3 segments for this showcase. First is us explaining. Rob, I'll let you explain the 3 segments.
Oh, good. So very simple to understand how this thing is going to play out. It's going to play out very logically, and it's going to give you everything you need in the order that you need it. The way that the thing will begin is we're going to make sure that every single person, so people who are coming in like yourselves, we're going to make sure we catch you up to speed. So the people who've been in the goods workshop, then they've been going through different exercises. They've been doing different things to prep them so they are ready and right to show up and show out. We're going to make sure you understand those different types of things that they have to do to get in that right mindset about being ready to be in the room with the greatest hiring partners possible. The next part of the segments are all about hiring partners. We're going to have our hiring partners, and they're going to be pitching why the top copywriters should come work for them. Think about that. Think about how crazy that is. And some people call it a job fair. No, it's not a job fair. That's not what it's like. It's literally the best people looking for the best people. So they're going to tell you why they're so great and what makes their opportunity unique. Then they're going to break down the path that they take in order to identify, vet, find, shortlist, and select the top people. And what they're going to tell you, I can guarantee, it's not anything in the way you think about it. Their processes that they go through are not the way you think. The way that they look at what you do is totally contrary to the way that you think it happens. After that, we're going to completely flip the script, and it's going to be the top copywriters. So all of you all, you'll get to see where you may already be, because they're going to tell you why. First, they're going to see how they show up. They're going to go give a segment that is why you want to work with me. And they're going to show you how the top people show up tight with everything that they need to in order to show up properly. And then they're going to go through, we're going to have different people in different sections breaking down things like what they do before they ever reach out and make an application or send a cover letter or resume or just do any outreach. There's something that they must do before they ever make that outreach that you're probably missing. Next, they go into how do they position themselves. And a lot about positioning is nothing more than they are confident enough to just be them. And all of you all who are trying to be somebody else, when you see somebody just being themselves, I can guarantee you're just going to relax, because you're going to say, oh, that's all I have to do. And by doing that, they put themselves in the best position for the best spots. And the last part that they're going to go to is they're going to share with you what successful outcomes look like. Because we have people who have successful outcomes. Wouldn't you like to know what it's like to actually be in one of these jobs? When you have positioned yourself properly, when you got the attention of the right people, when you followed the right steps, and now you're in that thing and it looks totally different than what you thought it was going to be. The people who were afraid of going in-house because they thought it would stifle them, they're talking about how, oh my goodness, I didn't know what I didn't know about what this would look like. So I don't know what else we could do to have compacted it into one day to make this as easy as possible for you all to get to see both sides of this equation, the whole inner workings in mind. Yeah. You couldn't pay some of the people who are going to be with us thousands of dollars for them to tell you what they're going to share with you here.
No way. And I want to address one thing. And again, this will separate the herd right here. I asked people, it's like, help me understand what I'm not telling you about. How am I confusing you? Because, hey, I'm a copywriter. And it's like, I have the privilege of a live audience. And if I feel like maybe my messaging is confusing or not resonating, I say, help me do better. What do you need to hear? The question I'm getting a lot is, are you going to give me a list of your hiring partners? These people who spend the most on copywriting. My answer is absolutely. I would not do that to you. I would not do that to you, because respectfully, you don't know what to do with it. This whole showcase is Rob and I showing you from years of experience and helping the people we work with who pay for our coaching. We'll be on the phone with them the day before they have a big prospect call, coaching them. Say it this way. Don't say it that way. If they ask, don't go down a rabbit hole. Be humble, but not, self-deprecating. All these little things that people, your instinct is not always your friend in these scenarios. Okay. Some of it you have to sort of practice some of these things. So respectfully, I would never give out my list of people, because my reputation's on the line. They're not looking for more spaghetti to throw against the wall. They're looking for the best. And I can't know who's the best until I've had a chance to meet you and work with you a little bit and give you some tips for how to show up as one of the best. Okay? So no, you're not going to get my list of people that I put my reputation on the line to make recommendations to. What I am going to do is help you be in a position to potentially have those connections for me. But also, my goal is in 6 hours to completely change the way you're thinking about and approaching these kinds of opportunities, because they are life-changing opportunities. Think about this. If you're in that classic copywriter conundrum right now, where you're hustling and scrambling for gigs, you sometimes like or don't like the client, you're barely getting to talk to them. They ghost you after you turn your work in. You don't even know if they ran it half the time. They're not giving you any performance data. It's a bad one night stand. Okay. If that's been your reality, imagine how different it would be if you knew what to say and how to show up for people who want to work with you ongoing on a retainer deal, a contract, not to stifle you, but to nurture you, to help you grow with them. And that's all you had to wake up and do every day was write copy. You know where your money's coming from. You're not scared. You're not hustling. And you're getting to do the work that makes you grow. Once you've done that, say for, 6 months, a year with different clients, you could have 2, 3 clients at a time doing that. How much better are you going to be positioned to land any gig you want as a freelancer from there? You never stop being a freelancer. You just it's on you to balance your time and your energy and where you put it. So imagine you spend the next year doing these one night stand clients, panicked in half a panic all the time about maybe making your bills or not, as opposed to working with great clients who will very likely recommend you to their peers. Because this problem is so big, this gap is so wide, you know where the first place other companies who don't have a relationship with me, you know where they go? They go to other companies and they go, hey, you've got a copywriter, right? Do they have bandwidth? Can they? Because they don't know where to go. They're certainly not going to post on Facebook and get spammed to death by all the telemarketers with laptops who decided to call themselves copywriters because they think it's easy money. They don't want that. Okay. So we're here to help you position yourself to show up to these opportunities and land them. Whether you do it through me or someone else or wherever you find the gig, I promise you, you're going to know exactly what they're looking for, how they think, and how to cut through the noise. Some special guests we'll have on Taylor Welch. You guys may know Taylor. He is the founder of Traffic and Funnels. He's got a new company now. He's got a really cool way that he's working with copywriters. He's a former copywriter himself. He's going to talk about what he looks for in copywriters. Rich Sheffrin, you'll hear from, who we've been helping place copywriters with. Patrick Beauvais will come on and give you some high-level notes about these cover letters and about different things. Again, you're going to be meeting the copywriters who know how to show up the goods, and they're going to tell you, wow, this is the mental shift. This is what really works. This is what doesn't. Don't do this. This is how to stand out. This is what a great opportunity looks like. This is how to negotiate a contract. If there are things in there that are deal breakers for you, here's how to get around them. So this is not one kind of job. It's all kinds of different opportunities. Not everybody's looking for full-time or in-house. They have project work. Okay. I just want to show you what it looks like when it works well. Okay. That's my one goal for this day. And for $300, compare that to all the other courses you've bought that you've probably paid thousands for, maybe went through them, maybe you didn't. The beauty is you won't have any work to do when we're done. We're going to give it all to you in one day. The things we'll give you to leave with, sort of our bonuses. Rob is one of the best people in the world I know in how to work LinkedIn. Go look at Rob's profile, Rob Tillman. You'll see an amazing profile and you'll say, this guy's for real. He is for real, but you got to show up and look for real. So we're going to show you how to position yourself on LinkedIn. We're going to show you how to show up on calls and look good and not look like you're in a room that you may be trapped in. It's like, has this person been fed?
Prisoners.
Prisoner, little stuff. I'll give you a free tip right now. Can I give him a free one, Rob? Just one free
We
one?
can give them, you give them a free one, I'm going to give a free one. And then I'm actually going to address something that they really just need to know. I'm just going to draw that line in the sand. Okay. So go ahead. Right.
Here's a nice, simple, free one. Something you may be doing right now when you show up to prospect calls or any call on Zoom that is lowering trust in the other person's eyes. Anybody know what it is? Blurring your background. Do not blur your background. People wonder what the heck's going on back there. Like, what can't I see? Now, we had Patrick on yesterday. He had a blurred background. Doesn't matter for Patrick. We know who he is, and if he wants to blur his background, fine. But for us, when we're making a first impression, hey, this is one little corner of a small office, but it looks like I've put some thought into what's going on behind me. I look like I'm here on purpose. Little things like that. So that's my free one. Stop blurring your background. Work up a set of some kind behind you. Okay, go ahead, Rob.
The free one I'll give everybody is extremely important. You all are going to underestimate it, and you're going to say, no, that doesn't matter. Whatever. The one I'm going to give you all for free is, if you are using a template of any kind for your cover letter, you might as well send it to yourself. Okay, don't address it to a person. Don't send it to any job, especially don't send it to anything that we refer you to, because we will back away from you. If you're using any kind of template, you might as well not send it, because they're identifiable. They know you're not sending it to them, and they do not want that. The way I like to call it is this. Think about this. So if there was a dating thing, okay, and you saw a guy in a club, and you keep seeing him go to a person and go to a person, go to a person, go to a person, and you see him approaching the same way, you see him stay the exact amount of time, you probably know that he has a specific way that he's pitching everybody that he's talking to, right? When he comes to you, how interested are you in what he has to say? What do you think? The answer is not at all, because you say he's not looking for somebody, he's looking for anybody. People know it, they can feel it. One of the biggest things and biggest problems that you all are doing is to make it easier on you, okay? You make it easy on you by using the same template and just changing the words for the person. You're like, oh my goodness, I can send out 50 a day. I have heard from people who have sent out hundreds of applications a day. Not a joke. They sign up for services, they send out hundreds of them, and they get no response. And they're like, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I've heard from people who, again, constantly keep on sending, and they don't get any responses. And I tell them, if you send out 10 and don't even get a no, you're doing something wrong. I can promise you, by the time you've hit 10 things that you've applied for, if you're not hearing back from people, you're doing something wrong. It is not a numbers game like that. If you've done it right, you'll even get no's. They'll say, no, but I'm going to do this for you because. So if that's not good enough for you, I don't even understand. That right there is money in the bank information. Yeah, and now, Kev, go ahead. You got one? Because I'm about to draw this line in the sand for everybody.
Okay, do it.
Go ahead. Draw the line?
Yeah, draw the line.
This is important for everybody. Look at my face. I was joking before. I'm very serious now. If you're not willing to put your hat in the ring here on April 4th, you may want to consider whether or not copywriting is the thing for you. If you're going to wait on the sidelines, I'm going to tell you what's going to happen on December 31st, 2024. what you were looking for may not be there anymore. Everybody who says, well, it's not that time, and let me wait, and maybe I'll do this later, then here's the truth. This train of copywriting is moving faster and faster every day. And everybody who's being information junkies and trying to just, well, I'm gonna sit on the sidelines, I'm gonna read this, and I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna pick this up, and I'm gonna do this thing. The answer is no, you're not. You're not gonna do it. This is the line in the sand for you. This isn't for us. We're not gonna make some grand amount of money by you all being there. We're doing this. Anybody who knows us knows that we do this because this is what we love. We love helping people. We love making sure that they're in the best position to win. Anybody who's ever been in our live events, they know that we over deliver. We give way more than the pennies that the things cost. Everybody who attends things with us knows that we find every opportunity to put you in a position to win. But when I'm drawing a line for is for you. You need to know if you're serious about what it's going to take to be a copywriter in 2024 and beyond. Because all of you all who are waiting to get in the game, it's only going to get harder. And you may not do this thing that you've been dreaming on. That was the big part about the banker.
Yeah.
The banker, he made a decision and he said, nope, I'm going to do this. He didn't try to do it. You know what he did? He went and got coaching. He went and got training. He went and put himself in the room with the best people. That's why he put himself here. He literally almost pleaded with Kevin to let him in this room because he said, hey, you know what? I didn't meet all of the qualifications that you had for getting into this workshop, but I'm willing to get in there and learn what it's going to take for me to do it. So he did that step. He drew that line in the sand and said, I'm going to put myself in the room. And it's paying off for him because he was selected by stepping up, following instructions, doing all these things. He literally moved from being I don't know if I belong in the room to literally being one of the top 10 people selected in a room, Kev.
Incredible.
I mean,
beautiful moment.
If that's not a line in the sand, I don't know what is. And I'm not trying to convince anybody anything. What I am is just making my plea that let me help you. And if you don't want me to help you, that's fine. But for everybody who wants that help, they deserve for me to tell them why they should be in that room. They should say, I'm going to stop playing. I'm going to get here. I'm going to do this thing. I'm going to figure out where I stack up so I can neither know, one, that I'm there, two, that I'm almost there, or three, I'm going to know what it's going to take for me to get there. You won't know if you're not in the room.
Yes. If there's ever been a cure for imposter syndrome, it is April 10th. Okay. Like I said, if you just want to come and hide and watch, you're absolutely welcome to do that. All that matters to Rob and I is that's why we priced it like we did. This is not a money-making event for us. We're looking to cover our costs to rent the studio, to show up proper for you, to be interactive, to spend our time with you. And I wanted to make it as affordable for anybody. For $300, you're you either don't trust me or you're questioning your own dedication. Perfectly fine in either case. But if you want to cure your imposter syndrome and all the things we don't know that run around in our head and start to take over, and we're looking for clues on social media about how this works, no one's telling you the truth there. No one's telling you how it really works because they don't want the competition. But once you realize that there's enough work for everybody, really good work, you don't see it as competition anymore. You see it as opportunity. And the rising tide really does lift all ships. You just need to get into the tide instead of, hanging on your buoy.
I said the perfect thing. You know what, Kev? You send out that email, making sure that we get the proper messaging so everybody understands what we're doing. And Ty hit it on the mark, said it's there. The cure for imposter syndrome. If you're suffering from imposter syndrome, we have the cure. Get in the room. Go get that treatment. Go find out what it's going to take for you to get over it. You're not going to get over it by yourself in your room in your head, no matter how many PDFs you read, Kev. How many PDFs can you read to get over imposter syndrome? Huh? How many
Zero.
lead magnets, free downloads, YouTube videos, blogs, vlogs,
No.
schlogs, smurfs? How many things? I got a question. Like, let's be real. Very simple. I got a question for you. How did you get over the fear of comedy before you ever got on that stage, man? You had
Yeah.
all of these crazy things. What was the only way to get over? Watch this. By writing more jokes, you're filling
No.
up your notepad with jokes. That's what helped you, right? You said, "Oh my
No, I
goodness, when I get
wasn't.
to my second notepad and that's all the way full, that's the time for me to get out there on that stage."
No, I
Right?
wasn't.
Or was the
No,
third?
no.
Maybe it's your third notepad. When you said, "When I get the third notepad filled all the way up, I'm gonna be ready to tell these jokes." What do you think?
No, sir. I had
Okay,
to
you got it in the
walk.
mirror then, right? No, no, you got to.
No,
I'm going to take you to the thing. You got in the mirror. So you got in the mirror with yourself, and you said, "I'm telling you, oh man, I'm making myself laugh. Oh my goodness, I'm ready to tell these jokes." That's what you did, Kev, right? That's not what you did.
no. I needed one other thing that none of that gives.
So I don't understand.
I
Did
had to.
you bought joke books? Did you buy joke books? You bought joke
No,
books.
no. I did. I did
You
all
wrote
those
jokes.
things. But guess
You
what?
told jokes in the mirror, but none of those worked, right? What was the only way for you to start, which was a 10-year career telling jokes?
I had to eat my fear, walk on that stage, and speak into that microphone. And it was what felt like the fastest 5 minutes of my life. I couldn't see because the lights were so bright. My voice sounded strange, echoing through the room, and I was just praying for anything that sounded like a reaction. I think that was laughter. I think that, but let me tell you, when I walked off that stage, and I tell people this all the time when they say, "I'm thinking of trying stand up," I said, "You have to, because you'll know after the first time whether it's something that's going to be part of your life or not. Because you will know, even if it doesn't go well, something came awake inside of you that you didn't know was there before you tried it." And every comic, you talk to 100 comics, maybe 50-50, killed it the first time, ate it the first time, still doing it, have a whole career doing it. Because, like Rob said, they threw their hat in the ring and they showed up and they stopped the fantasy of what it might be like, and they went and they found out.
At our last event, people don't understand when we talk about interactive, we mean interactive. Because I see some other things happen here, and they're liking this part, and as we're sharing these things, but they don't really understand what interactive means and what it means to be in the room and interactive. We had someone who we had never met before,
Mm-hmm.
never met before. They came to our December event. They showed up every day. They were on camera, looked at how they carried themselves. I started to stalk them because that's what we do. I am not a stalker, but I stalk, okay? And I stalked and tried to figure out who this person was and how they were showing up. They started to interact with me. They started to answer some questions that I asked them. They didn't know that everything was a test because they showed up. And we put that person into an opportunity that they could have never even known existed on earth because they showed up, they took that chance, and now guess what they did? They jumped in this thing with this actual event with us for the workshop. Would that have ever happened, Kev? We didn't know
No.
this person was a person.
And not only that, and here's the thing, they didn't just show up. It's not like, oh, they looked the best or they were polished. They were honest. And so Rob had asked people, what would be your dream thing to write about? She said, well, I'm a golfer. I love golf, but I don't know. I don't understand that market at all. Whoop. Guess
How am I
what?
gonna get in golfing? I love to play. I'm a pro, but I've never written for golf. I've written copy, but I never wrote golf copy. So like that's a pipe dream. That's something that's never gonna happen for me because I don't even know the first place to go or who I would talk to about doing that thing.
Right.
But guess who did know?
So that the same time that Rob's having that conversation with her, I'm having a conversation with the best golf copywriter in the world. And about, and I'd sent him some other copywriters, and he said, I said, how can I help you? What he said, just send me golf nuts. If they understand copy and are trying on any level to get good at copy and they love golf, I want to meet them. Described her to a T. And guess what? He had just started working with his first female instructor as the guru in his company. And when I told him I have a woman who is a professional level golfer, he said, "Oh my goodness, I'm just going to put her with my guru." And I called her up and in 6 minutes explained to her, "This is the scenario. I'm going to make a connection. Any questions?" Okay, 6 minute phone call, and now they're off and running, talking and planning projects together. So again, thank you for pointing that out, Rob. It's a great example of the goods, whatever you're thinking of it is. It's the perfect term, because that's the thing that John Carlton said to me when I met him in 2008. And I got in his favor, and he said, "I owe you a favor." And I said, "I'll take it right now. I want you to look at some of my copy because I have horrible imposter syndrome. And I don't know if I've just been getting lucky." He looked it over and he wrote me back and he said, "I can see where you are, and all I know for sure is that you do have the goods. You've got the instinct." Guess where my imposter syndrome went after that? Down the street somewhere. I ain't seen it since, because it's not about being anointed by the perfect person. It's getting validation that you're not crazy, that you're not guessing, that all the work you've been putting in is leading to something. That's how you get over imposter syndrome. Two things: you get in the room and you see what other people are doing, and you put your stuff in front of people who can say, "Yeah, you got it going on. Just keep working." That's all it
You
is.
you would never just have, if she just hit you with a cold email, Kev. If she
No,
hit you
no.
with a cold email and hadn't shown her dedication by showing up in the room, by being there for those multiple days, by being active and being vulnerable and showing who she really was, so you knew some character traits, would you have ever sent her to one of your trusted contacts?
No way, because she just would have been somebody else emailing me for not about them, about their opportunity. You have to show your dedication, and showing up to an event like this is one of the great ways to do it. It's not
Can I
about
tell
leaving
you
there
the
that
last
day.
closing, my closing story about you and me?
Yeah, sure.
Do you all know why I'm in this room right now with you on this side of the camera, not on the other side of the camera? The reason why I have partnered up with this fella right here is because I put myself in the room. I literally did what I'm telling you all to do, because I know that's the only way for it to happen. What you have to do is show somebody that you're dedicated, that you're committed to something, and that you are for real. Literally, I paid and put myself in the room with this man so he could see that I'm not just a person who's flicking stuff over. I showed up, I prepared, I was no star of the show, but I'll tell you this, he knew that I was serious after that moment. And from that moment, he and I have been working together, building up to this place where we are now, where we're doing the things that we are able to do for you. If I had just sent this man a little, "Hey man, like, I'm really interested, and trust me," would he have ever known that I was serious? The answer is no. And watch, I had to be in the room, and I even told him why I was in the room. I told him I'm in the room as a spectator. Remember that, Kev? I said, I'm here to observe. I'm here to observe you, and I'm here to observe everybody else who's in this room, because I want to understand who everybody is. I was honest. I was transparent. I told him why I was there. And I got in that room and I did exactly what I'm telling you all to do, is size it up and understood this is the right room for me.
Yeah.
And now
You
here I am on this side talking to you. If you all
Whatever.
don't get it, you don't get it.
Yeah, that's it. I think we berated you enough. And again, we're having fun, but you also sense our seriousness. It's Look, I've been saying all along, this is not sexy. It's sexy when people get it, but this offer I'm making to come and observe how it really works, that is not nearly as sexy as a magic prompt who writes the copy for you and blah, 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 blah. But hopefully you sense a different tone. We are out to help you really have a career doing this because it is needed. I have companies waiting for me to give them names. That's why I ran the goods workshop. That's why I asked Patrick Beauvais to come and say, go deep into their copy. I've got people waiting. How's that goods going? Huh? You got names for me yet? I still need more people. But like I said, I can only recommend people who I get to know, who show up for things, who show me the dedication. I will meet you at your passion, but I have to see you've got to be creating some momentum for yourself. Otherwise, I can't spend all day trying to find out. Like Rob said, if he would have just emailed me or if Charlene would have just emailed me, then the thing I'm faced with, now I have to vet this person. Now I have to ask them questions to find out if they're really serious. I know you're serious because you show up to things and I see you there. Imagine the difference between right now if you get off this call and you said, hey, Kev, I heard all you were saying, but I think I have that part figured out. Just let me tell you how great I am at copy. And if any of your clients need this, come on. Compared to you write me the day after the goods workshop showcase and you say, hey, Kev, I was there yesterday. Man, this one part really stood out to me. I don't know if you saw me, but I asked that one question. And, yeah, I remember you. Sure, let's see. Okay, tell me more. You see, it's just a total difference. That's why we do these events. We are looking for people. We are looking for people. And my hiring partners are looking for people. Again, but you don't hear me saying this is a job fair and I'm going to give you my list of clients. That's for other people to make you those promises. You don't need leads. You need instruction on how to show up to close those leads. So I'm not giving out leads. I'm giving out power, positioning, confidence. That's what this is all about. Okay.
These last few minutes, anybody have any other questions that you all have for us? I answered a couple inside of the chat. For anybody who missed them, then I'll make sure I go over those quick questions, which are the hiring partners looking for copywriters who can write all kinds of copy like emails, VSLs, and ads, or those who specialize in one kind? And I specifically answered that no, our hiring partners look for every type and level of copywriter. They need people at senior levels. They need people at more basic levels because the copy process in a larger company is not just one person in a corner. There are people who are researching and getting the base copy together. There are people who are doing other senior things that are chief in this stuff. So there are a lot of different things that go along with it. So it's not just a one thing. The second question that came in here from Robin was, is it mainly in-house jobs? And would it be a place to find clients as a freelancer? And what I share with that one is another very specific thing, which is what we're going to uncover is completely useful for freelancing. The same tactics that are used in freelancing are used in finding the best jobs. You have to show up identical because something that I think that people have got a little mixed up, Kev, is they don't realize when you get a freelancing job, it's still a job. It's still the same process. They take you through the exact same process. They have the same exact way that they're thinking about it from the hiring partner sides and the top copywriters who get those gigs. They do the exact same thing that we're sharing with people to do here. The thing doesn't change. The situation changes.
Right.
But it's the same
The
thing.
outcome changes. Yeah. Exactly.
So let's see. There was another. What about a smallish portfolio? OMG. Let me tell you, the least important thing is the portfolio, as crazy as that sounds. As a matter of fact, one of the things we shared with people is how the portfolio is probably the thing that is jacking up your whole entire life. We even had somebody reinforce that yesterday. We got a private message in that group about somebody who shared about how people just send these links to the portfolios, and it actually is the worst thing that you could ever do. What we share is what the reason why most people are looking towards your portfolio is because you didn't show up with the goods. They're still trying to figure out, do you have them or not? When you present things in a very specific way, they're not asking all those questions. They're not asking, well, let me see this, let me see this. The more questions they're asking you, it means that you haven't shown them, so they have to keep asking you for things. So no, absolutely smallish portfolio, no portfolio. We have people with no portfolio who are literally killing the game. 6 years ago, I got in a room with Copy Chief, wrote bullets for one of Kevin's podcasts, finally won a competition. It got me a gig at Agora Financial. Anthony, thank you. Again, we are not asking for endorsements, but look at people endorsing us. We have people telling how great this thing was. But look, he says 6 years ago, he got in the room at Copy Chief. He wrote bullets for one of Kevin's podcasts and won the competition. It got him a gig at Agora Financial. He's telling you, I'll take the chance. Being in the room is definitely worth it when the room is full of the right people. Okay.
Yeah.
Kevin said the outreach age is nope, really working on so grade 12 copywriters who come in as a client without email. I don't exactly understand this, Shomes. Could you make your question a little bit clearer for me? Because I don't understand if it's more of a statement or a question.
I want to give a quick history of why he does that. The guys, it's just if you're new to me, then thank you, Anthony, for pointing that out. This has been my MO since going back to 2017 when I did my first in-person live event. I said, again, my whole reason for starting Copy Chief was to close this gap. Because again, people even before I started Copy Chief were coming to me because I had a good reputation in the business. I need copywriters. I need better clients. I'm saying, yeah. The only place they knew to find each other then was at conferences. You had to get lucky and meet, So I said, okay, I'm going to start a digital world where everybody can come together. That worked amazingly. But then I said, okay, now time to do an in-person event, Copy Chief Live. And I am going now, how can I make this the greatest win for the writers and the companies? Because I've seen people do it as a job fair where everybody just walks around and mingles and hopes that they connect. It doesn't work. So I said, I'm going to have round tables, and the clients have to buy a round table, and they have to pitch the copywriters on why they should come work for them. They thought I was out of my mind. They said, you're out of your mind. You're asking us to pay you to come pitch copywriters on why they should want to work with us, but we have jobs for them. I said, do you want good people who resonate? Or do you want more spaghetti to throw against the wall? I don't know. First year, hard to sell those roundtables. Then we took groups of 10 copywriters and we rotated them through the roundtables every 15 minutes. So 5 minutes, the person with the job is pitching them on why they should want to work with them. And then for 10 minutes, they're answering questions, and then we rotate it. So the writers weren't on the spot. They didn't nervously wait in line to come talk to someone who might want to hire them, and then feel if they wanted to, they could just sit there and listen and hear how the conversation goes. That first year, contracts were signed, and I'm talking about high six-figure over the life of the contract. Some of them potentially over $1 million, right? The next year, word had gotten around. I sold out the roundtables in like minutes. People were already put me on a wait list for next year. I had like 2 to sell. We expanded it from like 8 of them to like 12 of them. They were fighting over Rob, you weren't there then. It turned into, people were handing out whiskey at their booths. They're handing out gifts, and they were fighting for the attention of the copywriters because they realized that I had the one thing that nobody else could give them, which was quality people to work with. And I'm not taking the credit for that. I love people, and I get to have so many amazing people in my life. And from the day I opened Copy Chief, amazing people came into that world, and it's just been a blessing. And so all I have to do is facilitate and educate, and the rest takes care of itself. That's why I do this. And that's why I have, like we're going to do on the goods, these great clients pitch you on why you should want to work with them instead of the other way around. It's just a better way to do it.
Ken said something that, Kev, you need to take a deep breath, man, because he said something that literally is going to make your chest pump out. This man said was part of the Crossroads Summit, so he was with us in December. He said, gave me the confidence to go after a really great potential client. He's talking about how now they're working this thing out to make the match. And he put in these words, these things open eyes. Thanks, Ken. Because they need to understand. If you get there, that's what we do. Kev, you think that I could share one more thing? I think the best way to lead us out, remember that story that I told our group of people to end on one of our sessions, and it talked about, the father?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
I think that'd be great for everybody.
Okay,
so you all just bear with me. Give me 130 seconds. Bear with me. A father leads his blindfolded daughter to a garage at sunrise, and after opening the door, shares, I knew this day would come. I'm so proud of you for graduating with honors and bought you this car to start your adult life. As you can see from the dust and rust, I got it many years ago, as soon as I knew you were on the path you were headed. Why don't we do something before I give it to you? Take it to the used car lot downtown and tell them you want to sell it so you can find out what it's worth. Off the daughter goes. Then returns with a discovery. They offered me $1,000. The man told me the lot is full of newer, shinier, and better cars, but that's a good price. Her father tells her, okay, baby, now take it to the pawn shop down the street. A while later, she returns a bit confused, asking, is this right? The owner of the pawn shop only offered me $100 because it's such an old car. The father softly places a business card in his daughter's hand and tells her, take the car here. A couple hours later, his daughter bursts through the front door. Multiple people at the car club offered me $100,000 for it. They told me this was a Nissan Skyline R34. It's iconic and many collectors are looking for it. The father can't hold back a warm smile and shares, as you go into the world, remember these two things. You'll never know your value if you're in the wrong place. Find people who have an appreciation for you, and they'll help you uncover your real value. And the second thing is, there's a big difference between your value between people. Don't get mad if it seems they undervalue you. Just go someplace different. Now, the reason why I shared that with our group, and the reason why I'm sharing it with you, is because we know your value, and that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to let you know what your value is. You have to be in the room with the car collectors. You have to be in the room where they understand why that's valuable. Because if you keep taking your skills to the pawn shop, keep taking your skills to the used car lot, it's not going to work out for you. You're going to keep still having those confidence boosting downers. You see that? You're going to get a confidence boosting downer. They're not going to know your value and they're going to confuse you. You have to be in the right room with the right people to understand your value. So it's a really simple question. Are you going to come to where the car collectors are and they know the true value and they spend time with you and they share with you just how valuable this thing is? Or are you going to keep on going to the used car lots and the pawn shops and asking them, what am I worth?
Woo! That's good. I like that. That's it in a nutshell. So thank you, everybody. Thank you for hanging with us. Thank you for the great questions. And now we know you a little bit. So Everett, Liz, Robin, Celine, we'll be looking for you guys. Everybody who said they signed up today, we appreciate it. And we're here for you. So we'll see you there. And can't wait. Bright and early, 10 a.m. Eastern on April 10th. See you there. Thanks, Rob.